Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 257 of Screw the Commute podcast. And I've known this lady for, 200-300 years, something like that, except she sucks because she looks the same as the day I met her. So that really sucks. But anyway, it's Heidi Richards Mooney, and she's been networking online since early 2001, and she's kind of an early adopter. And she's been doing teleseminars and webinars long before they were standard in marketing. So I'm going to bring her on in a minute. Yeah, and I hope you didn't miss getting a copy of our automation ebook. You get it free for listening to Screw the Commute, and we charge $27 for it on the open market. And it's allowed me to, it's all the techniques that I've used to handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers without pulling my hair out. It has cell phone automation techniques and all kinds of stuff in there. And just one of the tips in this book we figured it out about 2 years ago. This is no BS. It's saved me about 7.5 million keystrokes. So you're crazy if you don't download this book. Grab it at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Screwthecommute.com/automate free. And while you're over there, grab a copy of our podcast app. It's screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. It allows you to do all kinds of cool stuff on your cell phone and tablet to take us with you on the road. And we've got complete training there to show you screen captures of how to use all the features. So grab that at screwthecommute.com/app. All right, our sponsor is the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia. It's a distance learning school, but guess what? After 11 years, we're opening up for in-house classes, and we're currently applying to get covered by the GI Bill so that we can help more veterans. We're already covered by the Department of Defense for a military spouse scholarship program. So if you know any military people, we love our military, and we give big scholarships at the school. So it's minimal cost for veterans and their families. So check that out at imtcva.org, where this is a school where you can get a career. And I mean, we had one lady join, and within a month, she's making $1,100 on the side. Within 4 months, she's making $6,000 a month, quit her other job, and she's only halfway in the school. So this is in-demand skills that even Google and IBM and Bank of America are not asking for college degrees anymore, because they want people who can actually do stuff, not people that learned how to protest and took art history. So check it out at imtcva.org. All of the links we talk about, of course, are in the show notes. This is episode 257. So you go to screwthecommute.com/257, and you'll see all this stuff and all the great stuff Heidi brings out a little later. Speaking of Heidi, let's bring her on. Heidi Richards Mooney. Oh, yeah. She's gung ho. See, I told you she's an early adopter before I even read her introduction. She's ready to go. So, Heidi Richards Mooney is the host of the EntreprenHer Show. EntreprenHer Show, something like that. It's definitely got HER on the end, because it's a popular podcast that focuses primarily on the backstories of success-driven women. And she's the author of a dozen books, including Quirky Marketing Calendar, and listen to this one, Rose Marketing on a Daisy Budget. And you'll know why that title came along in a minute. She's a WordPress expert. Check that out. You don't find too many people that deal in flowers that are WordPress experts. I can tell you that. And she provides full and half-day trainings on how to set up and manage a website that gets found, gets visited, and gets business. And she's received dozens of honors. And I'm trying to pronounce this, Cision, I don't know, she'll tell, named her one of the 50 rich media influencers to follow in 2015. Heidi, are you ready to screw? The Commute. She had to think about that for a minute, right? So how you doing,
Okay, well,
kiddo?
let me see. Have I had my vitamins today? Sure.
Vitamins and some coffee to keep up with me, because
Exactly.
I'm 65 going on 12.
You and me both.
So how you doing, kiddo?
I am doing great, Tom.
What was the name of that company? I messed it up. Cision?
It's fine. Cision.
Cision. I messed that up. But anyway, they love
okay.
you. They love you, and they told the world about you. So tell everybody what you're doing now, and then we'll take you back and see how you came up through the ranks.
Oh my. Well, I have adult ADD, so I'm all over the place. Not something that I try to teach my clients. Certainly, I want them to focus. And having said that, I have a podcast. I have a couple of women's online directories.
Hey, pronounce the name of the podcast so I get it right.
The EntreprenHer Show.
Okay, EntreprenHer Show. All right, there we go.
Just an H in the
right.
Instead of entrepreneur, EUR, it's HER. So just a little play on words.
And I noticed that I haven't been invited on because I must not have a big enough feminine side to be on it.
I will bring out your feminine side anytime you'd like to be on the show.
Oh, really? I thought it was all women all the time.
Well, I'll have to send you the link to the show. I actually was, when I first started it, I was repurposing a lot of previous interviews. So you actually are on there.
Oh, there you go.
So I will send you the link.
There
sure. You're the only man I have on there. I actually interviewed 2 men and you're one of them.
See, I don't want to have to sue you for discrimination, so
No, you'd never have to do that.
All right. So EntreprenHer Show. And then what else you doing?
I have my florist. I've had that for 38 years,
wow.
Which is pretty much how I got my start in business.
That's funny because I can't keep a flower or plant alive for like 3 days, and you got 38 years.
Yeah, it could be a number of things. Poor lighting, not being fed well, Yeah,
it's the darn thing. You're supposed to water them, and
exactly.
They don't come with like instructions.
Well, all of mine do. Anyway, and then I have, of course, the WordPress. I've really been focusing a lot on WordPress in the last few years.
That's the gold
mainly because
standard.
I was getting tired. I'm sorry.
That's the gold standard.
Yeah, and I was getting tired of people getting messed over from webmasters because they didn't know what they were doing, or the webmasters would start and then leave, and they'd be in the middle of a project. And
I actually own the domain name killyourwebdesigner.com.
That's funny. Well, I actually
you get
was
horror
writing
stories all the time. You know that people were just, these people were out of work graphic designers and have no business acumen and don't care and don't know what they're doing, and poor business people get screwed over.
Right. Well, and I think that's what makes me a little bit unique is that I have a great sense of business and I bring that to the table, and then I have a skill that people need. And so I think that if you have that as a business person, that would probably be my first tip. Be good at something in business and then train people on how to use something they need.
Yeah.
And that's been my mantra all these years, and it's worked very well for me.
Absolutely. It's a quick way to money, and there's no shortage of people out there that need help with stuff. That's for sure.
Oh, well, Tom, you were one of my first mentors. You were probably one of the very first people I ever interviewed, first on a teleseminar, then a couple of webinars. And you've always been such a gracious guest and now host. And I'm just thrilled that we first met, and I've been through your boot camps. I've done a lot of things with you. And I don't know. I wouldn't be the person today I am if it weren't for you and other people like you who have, kind of been at the forefront of so many different things that have helped other people. So I wanted to just get that out there and thank you in case you run out of time at the end.
Very kind of you. And if it wasn't for people like you that are actually go-getters and do something, that's the big frustration that all of us mentors and coaches have is, I heard this one guy say, he says, what was he? He's $1,000 an hour. And he says, I'm thinking about giving a $500 an hour rebate if you just do what I tell you. you know, because it's frustrating. You kill yourself day and night to learn all this stuff and to help people, and then if they don't implement, it's wasted.
Yeah. Well, and I think another wise person told me it's not my responsibility for them to do anything with it. It's my responsibility to make sure they're armed with the right information and to give them a few nudges to help them along the way. But at some point, human nature is what it is, and people will do what they want, and you can't be responsible.
Yeah, I don't. It's just I wish, because I can see and you can see things in people that they can't see in themselves or what they could be
Right.
doing, and it's a little bit frustrating. It's even getting worse because a lot of the younger generation has not had the work ethic that an old fart like me had. So how are these remote courses, or people come in person to your courses, or what?
Well, the last year and a half, I've been doing everything remotely. I was doing live trainings, and I'm going to go back to that because I think that that's the thing missing for me, is seeing people's aha moments. You don't get that feeling when you're doing work remotely, like whether it's webinars, teleseminars, even the online live, trainings. But when you're in a room with people and all of a sudden they get something, and you know this with your training center, that's what makes it all
Their
worthwhile
jaw
for me.
drops and they gasp like, "Oh man!" You see those kind of reactions that you wouldn't see remotely.
Right. And I do small trainings. In fact, I have a little area in my big home, and I've made that kind of my training center, and I do like 10 people at a time, no more than that. And it seems to work well because they all become friends with one another. They have something in common because they're all starting at basically the same place. And I will say that I have a great retention rate. A lot of them end up hiring me because they realize how much work it
Right.
actually is
Yes. Yeah.
so for me, that's kind of been a great way to get new clients unintentionally.
The lead generator. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's very common. I mean, even plumbers are doing that. They say, "Okay, we're going to show you how to remodel your bathroom," and then they pour it out, every little detail, and people are like, "Oh my God, I'll have leaks everywhere if I do this." You do it. That's basically what it is when you really show people what it takes, and that's why I've been so much against the term done for you programs. They mostly should be called done to you programs because, because somebody says, "Okay, yeah, for $100, I'm going to do all this stuff." And there's no way the amount of work that all of these things that we do takes is enormous, really. And so they,
and the years of training, Tom, we never stop learning in this business. It's always something new.
Exactly.
Look at WordPress. They came out with Gutenberg 2 years ago.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
I had to learn a whole new platform.
Exactly. Yeah. And all the social media things that, people tell me I ought to be on TikTok. And I'm thinking, what? And so I go and look at it. And an hour later, I'm still sucked into looking at these TikTok videos. I'm like, well, maybe they got a point here. But I don't know what I'd create for that. But yeah, it's but there's just a lot of work involved, and people want, everybody hypes everything up. Yeah, the riches on the internet and all that, and they're there if you're willing to work as hard as you would at any other thing.
Absolutely. If you talk to that person who you mentioned at the beginning was making $1,000 and now they're making $6,000, quit their job, ask them what they really did to do that.
Exactly.
Yes, they implemented everything you said, but how much time did it take?
Yes, they worked. They worked.
Yeah.
But they're thrilled to death because, people like us love to work for ourselves. And
Right.
her dad had spent $80,000 on her education, and she was forced into some crap job because there was no work. And so she's thrilled to death, but she's working it and hustling it. But, guys like me, I could have quit years ago, but, it's just in my blood, so I still work day and night, 7 days a week and just love every second of it. But people have to realize that's, it doesn't have to be 7 days a week, day and night like I do, but to get success, you got to put the work in. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, do you keep fresh flowers in your house every day?
Most of the time. I
Really?
won't say every day.
Where do you get them?
My husband usually gets them for me.
Hoping he doesn't go buy them at Walmart, does he?
Oh gosh, no.
I was
One of
gonna
my
say.
best friends is also a florist, so he usually gets them from her, and she laughs every time. She goes, "Timmy, you could go right in the cooler and get them from your own cooler." He goes, "Yeah, but it wouldn't be the same as me buying them for her." So he's a romantic, a hopeless romantic. I love it.
So tell
Yeah.
everybody about this floral connection we're talking about here.
Oh, sure. Well, years ago when I started my business, I hired people, obviously, like most people do, to do the marketing and stuff. And then I started taking courses through the Small Business Administration and other night classes on marketing, because I felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth with these companies. They were charging me, and we're talking 38 years ago, $250 a month was a lot of money back then for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, you know what, let me see if I can learn a little bit. At least if I could write a press release, that would be good. And so I learned how to write a press release. And then that led to learning how to do other things. And this wonderful thing came along called the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually the very first FTD florist in my county to have a website.
Wow.
Before FTD even had their website up and running.
That's cool.
So now, mind you, it was a front page website. You remember the old front page?
1997 it came out. Yeah.
Tom, I think you taught me front page, so I just want to give that little plug in. Yeah. And it was like 4 pages. So then I hired somebody to spiff it up and add some products and stuff. And then we did the e-commerce, and I started hiring people to do the Google ads and all of that, and the keyword, whatever. And it was like a never ending cycle of spending money, getting very little in return. I was spending more than I was making. And I thought if I even broke even and get one order from them every time, but it really ended up costing me. So I started learning how to do it myself.
Right.
And then people said, "Wow, your website's great. How did you do that?" And a couple friends asked, and I started showing them how to do it. And pretty soon one thing left to another. I started the Women's E-commerce Association because I was learning so much I couldn't even keep up with my own
Didn't I
stuff.
speak there one time, a long time ago?
Yeah. So you came to you were actually one of my speakers.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on a couple of my shows. Absolutely. And that's still around, but we're primarily digital now.
Mm-hmm.
I decided I wasn't an event planner and I didn't want to do any live events anymore. We do a once a year program in Portugal that's a live conference, but otherwise we don't do any live programs anymore. Everything's remote. Yeah. And the one thing led to another, and here I am today.
So what are you doing mostly nowadays? What's the typical day look like for you?
I'm mostly working every day to figure out how to make money in my underwear, like you, on my butt, if you will.
Yours is a better visual than mine for people.
Yeah. I think I'll call it making money in your thongs. How's that?
Oh my God! Now we're getting into. I have to make this an explicit podcast now.
Well, the more what I've heard about marketing, the more explicit you can be, the more you'll sell.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, for sure. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. And when we come back, we'll ask Heidi what a typical day looks like for her and how she stays motivated. So, folks, I want you to visit my school site. And even if this doesn't apply to you, I guarantee you know somebody that's coming up, thinking about, that's got kids, grandkids, nephews, nieces, thinking about going to college. But, I have a quiz that only takes you 2 minutes to take it, and it outlines 7 ways that colleges and universities are totally, in my not so humble opinion, fraudulently ripping off families and kids with textbooks and fake grade point averages and all these things. So you find it at imtcva.org/quiz. IMTCVA, that's Internet Marketing Training Center, Virginia, .org/quiz. It only takes about 2 minutes, and you're going to be mad when you see these things, even if you don't have kids, because it's I have this TV show in development in Hollywood called Scam Brigade, and so I'm kind of a consumer advocate, and I know fraud when I see it, and if these weren't colleges that have been brainwashing you for 100 years about how important they are, they'd be in jail for doing some of these things. So check it out at imtcva.org/quiz. Pass it on to those that you think could use it. And we can get them a highly in-demand skill in as little as 6 months. And as I told you earlier, some people are making money before they even graduate. So check it out. And if we can help you, we're glad to. Give us a call, and I'll talk to you personally about you or your child's future on the web. All right, let's get back to the main event. Heidi Richards Mooney is here. It's an old friend of mine, goes way back, and she's living the lifestyle. So what's a typical day look like for you, Heidi?
Well, let me see. My husband makes me a cappuccino.
Nice. Hopeless
we
romantic.
sit outside by our pool and look at our beautiful property and play with our dog. Around 11
What kind of
o'clock,
dog
I get
you got?
online. Huh?
What kind of dog you got?
Oh, I have he's a American Bulldog Boxer mix.
Wow.
And he looks like Petey from the Little Rascals. He's a beauty and a sweetheart. His name is Jack.
Jack. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't use Jack's name in any of my passwords, just so you know. Oh, goodness. Because people are like, don't use your dog's name.
Yeah, right,
that's
right.
my tip today.
Yeah, there you go.
Or your children or your husband or anything. Yeah. And then around 11 o'clock, I get online and just check my emails to make sure that I don't have any urgent things from clients. And by urgent, I mean things that are urgent to them, because if they're really urgent, they'll text me.
Right.
Because they have my
Mhm.
phone. So maybe once a month I'll get a text from a client who's been hacked or something, but for the most part, it's not that urgent. It's something I can do that day. If there's nothing pressing, I'm semi-retired, Tom, so I do whatever I want every day. Some days I always take a project and work on it.
Mhm.
So for instance, today I'm working on cleaning up my emails in between talking to people and doing different things, just because I have to do that once a month. On Saturday, I was working on my floral website, trying to clean up some old pictures and get rid of old products we no longer sell. And so every day I have a plan, and for an hour I do that.
So you're still running the floral business?
I am, but I'm working from home.
Mhm.
So we have like a warehouse, and we might have 2 or 3 orders today and 10 tomorrow. It's really
is this
great
a
because
wholesale? Is that what you mean? It's wholesale, it's not retail?
no wholesale, only strictly retail, but it's mostly for corporations. Like
Oh, I see.
I have the convention centers and school boards and stuff
Wow.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
that's
don't have
cool.
any retail, very little retail
Nice.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great
Yeah.
because we're not, we're busy, but it's more in quantity
Right.
than in, this one-off stuff, which drives you crazy.
Yep. After 38 years of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, before I meant to mention, when I'm having my cappuccino, my husband and I will do this thing called Trivia Genius. So every
Okay.
day I want to learn something new every day.
Nice.
So I ask him a question that they sent me, and then we try to figure out the answer together, and it's a lot of fun because I love
get
Jeopardy.
that in my email box too. Yeah, and didn't I read something about doing crossword puzzles and those Sudoku things and keeping your mind active, like reduces your chances of getting Alzheimer's?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe it. I do.
Now, if you want
But
to,
I want to learn one new thing, just because if I ever get on Jeopardy, I want to be sure I
you
don't
win.
embarrass myself.
Well, you want to win, yeah. And so, if you want to be sure to get Alzheimer's, just sit in front of Netflix all day.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll definitely get it. So,
then the other thing I like to do is I like to make one new connection every day. So that could be a connection I reach out to on LinkedIn. It could be someone I haven't talked to in a long time. Today, you're my connection, Tom, because we haven't talked in
Oh,
so
long time,
long.
yeah.
So I said, wow, you're going to fulfill one of my daily missions.
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
And then
go ahead.
every day is different, because in the internet marketing world,
Yeah.
if you're working on a website, you might be doing that in the afternoon. If you're doing some consulting for a client, you might be doing that. And so my days and that's what I love about this, because I could never sit behind a desk doing the same thing day in and day out.
I've not had the pleasure of experiencing that ever. That's why this is Screw the Commute podcast. I never actually had a job. So.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm hireable.
No, that's for sure. I'm not. What I wanted to ask you, though, is, you just said, oh, yeah, we only do one live event. It happens to be in Portugal. How do you pick Portugal to have a conference? Talk about planning a tough job to plan. Jeez.
Well, the Portugal event is, I have a co-founder for Women in E-commerce, and she happens to be in Lisbon, Portugal, actually in Cascais. She's a translator and an international marketer and a meeting planner. So her job is planning meetings.
Oh, wow.
So she plans the meetings. She gets the speakers. I help her get speakers from all over the world. My job is to help get speakers and sponsors, and she does everything else. She coordinates with the hotel. And just because we've done it now there for 4 years, we just decided we were going to go to other countries. We started getting bids and things, and we just found that our people don't mind going to Portugal in the wintertime. Yeah. Or in the early spring. So we've just decided to keep it there. We may go someplace else, but right now, Portugal's it.
Wow. Yeah. I was just saying, how did you pick Portugal? The whole world.
It's such a beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, it just came out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, we have one event. It's in Portugal. There has to be a reason behind it.
I know, right? And I'm in Florida.
How many people you get?
Pardon?
How many people you get attending?
200 to 300. I think the most we've had was 350.
Yeah.
But we have people come in from all over the world speaking. We have usually 20 to 30 countries represented.
Wow.
So the 250 to 300 people are probably mostly from Portugal, Spain, that area. And then we get them from all over. Like the United States has probably got the second highest attendance.
But there's the whole thing in English?
It's in English, yes.
Yeah.
And there's translators there to translate in other languages.
Wow. When's it coming up?
It will be in October of this year, and it'll be in Cascais, which is like a little seaport. It's actually the city where James Bond's what's the oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the Casino Royale.
Right.
Yeah, where that was filmed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So people, now these are all members of Women in E-commerce. This is like a convention.
No, they're not.
Can be anybody?
There are some members, and there are people just who are interested in the topics. We don't just talk about e-commerce. We talk a lot about social media marketing. It's primarily marketing, but it's not just e-commerce.
Wow. Well, do they have like vendors and like a trade show while you're
Yes,
at
we
it?
do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, we do.
Wow. Yeah. When did you say it was coming up?
It's coming up the third weekend actually the third week in October. It's a 4-day event. It's actually a week-long event because we do it, and then we have like a 3-day tour either before or after the event. I want to say the 24th. It starts October 24th.
Yeah, I'm just asking all these questions, so I'm going to jockey to be a speaker there one of these days.
Oh, there you go. We'd love to have you, Tom. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We'd love it.
Portugal. I have to find out on a map exactly where it is. Of course. But, I haven't been out of my house in 2.5 years.
Oh my goodness.
So now does this have its own website somewhere?
It does. It's called Wow Conference 20. I think it's 2020. Is it going to be the new website?
Well, we'll have it in the show notes. Is it?
I will
send
yet? It to you. Yeah.
Okay. And then speaking of show notes, so how do people get in touch with you? And if they want to take one of your courses, how do they?
Oh, sure. They can visit me online on my website, redheadmarketinginc.com. They can email me at Heidi@redheadmarketinginc.com.
And
they can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, any social media. I've got a strong presence, especially on LinkedIn, which is my second love.
Yeah, we'll have the links to all of that stuff. And then I got one last question about Redhead. I heard, I don't know if this is a just fake news rumor, but that natural redheads are becoming extinct.
It's true.
It is true?
we're less than 2% of the population, Tom. I actually do a once-a-year luncheon called the Redhead Luncheon. We get women who are redheads. Our motto is you're born a redhead or you're born to be a redhead. So we have some women who are not naturally born redheads, but are redheads at heart. Come to our luncheons.
Do you have to marry a certain redhead to make sure you have a redhead baby, or what? How does that work?
Well, it has to be because you have a 1 in 4 chance if one of the parents is a redhead, and you have a much higher chance if both parents are. In fact, if both parents are, I believe you can only have redheads. So my daughter's a blonde and she married a redhead, and so she had 2 redheaded children and 1 blonde. I'm a redhead. I married a blonde and I have no redheaded children. So,
well, you need to get busy and have a bunch more. So we keep it going.
The grandkids are enough for us.
All right. Well, so good catching up with you, kiddo. So thrilled to hear about your success, and you're able to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you're still surrounded by beauty and a romantic husband. What more could you ask for?
Exactly.
And a Jack. And Jack.
And Jack.
The
American Bulldog boxer mix. He's a beautiful dog.
There we go. All right. So everybody check the show notes for Heidi. Take one of her WordPress classes. We preach WordPress is the gold standard, but there's a lot of little details that can bite you in the butt if you don't know about them. And you got to be mobile friendly, and you got to do all this stuff. So her course will help you with that. So Heidi, good talking to you.
Thank you, Tom. It was a pleasure. Always good to catch up.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.